Man. What's up, guys? It's been a little while. Can you guys hear me? uh, uh, you guys should be able to hear me right now, hopefully. Waiting for people to say yes. What's going on, guys? Are you guys able to hear me well? Max, where are you going? Uh, Loud and clear. Okay, cool. Like nobody was answering my question. I was starting to get worried. I was like, "Hey, can you guys hear me?" And all anybody's saying is like, "I'm so excited this is back," and like no one's no one's answering my question. Okay, so first things first, as you guys know, for those of you guys who are yes, this is Max. By the way, this is my dog Max. Max is a Labrador slash hound slash pit bull. He has a lot of stuff in him, don't you, Max? You have all kinds of stuff in him. Your parents was, man, they was something. But anyway, yeah, there's usually always a delay. Hopefully it's not too bad on the audio. It's one of those things with YouTube and Twitter and OBS and so on. But yeah, there's for those of you guys who aren't used to live streaming, there's usually always like a 5 to 10 second delay between what you guys say and when you actually hear me reply to it. The other thing is with Comics and Coffee, what we used to do is it would literally just be like an hour of me answering questions about comics, and that's what this is going to be. I'll answer questions about comics. I am not sponsored by Polo, but I'm also going to open this up with two things. Each of these, of course, Comics and Coffee is only going to be once per month now. Now, the reason why is because one of the reasons I got burned out on doing it before was because I was doing it every week, and people would basically just, all the things would boil down to the same question, like person versus person, who do you think, And they would just battle against one another. And, well, I'm monitoring my stream right now, so if the screen's frozen, it might be something on your end. But a lot of people would just do like versus, yeah, like death battles, and it kind of took away from the overall purpose. And so I brought it back, but I'm scaling it down to once a month. So it'll be once every month that you guys will see this. But I'm also going to open it with like info on the channel. So as you guys know, I've been experimenting with you guys. Actually, I don't know if you know I've been experimenting with you guys, but I've been experimenting with you guys. You guys will have noticed that there have been a lot of uploads cranking out on the channel. And a lot of it's just kind of been testing the waters to see what you guys are receptive to, what you guys are not receptive to, what works, what doesn't work. Messiah Complex, you guys don't really seem to care for too much. Honestly, I think it's an okay story. I was doing it just to see, if there was an interest in, some of the older X-Men stories that are not like classic X-Men stories, like, the Onslaught Saga or something like that. By the way, we have coffee for the first time. Yes. But the whole purpose was to test. So as with DC Rebirth, I'm really getting to DC Rebirth a lot more, and it's the writing on that is absolutely amazing. And so what I'm going to do is I want to have DC stories as backdrops, and because there's only like 3 or 4 comics that I'm reading at the moment. I'm reading Batman, I'm reading Superman, I'm reading The Flash, a handful of others. I started reading The Flash last night because people on Periscope said it was so good. And so I'm going to keep DC stories as a background. So it'll like every week it'll be Batman, then next week it'll be Superman, the next week it'll be, something, so on and so forth. It'll just be like a different DC story in the background of all my other videos every week. That said, I need to get my schedule sorted out. With that said, like character discussions, like all the videos that you guys are used to will stay. It'll just be in addition to that, DC stories in the background. So I need to build up the DC presence a little bit more just because I feel like my channel having, with the entire premise of changing from Marvel Explained to Comics Explained being DC, more DC related content, DC content's been pretty scarce on my channel so far. So I need to definitely beef up that presence a little bit more. Plus, like DC Rebirth is so good. So So anyway, so while I'm waiting for your all's questions to start popping in, hopefully you guys start asking questions soon. Um, the other thing I want to do, when I open up these episodes of Comics and Coffee, you guys will notice that back there in the back, those of you guys who are familiar with the backdrop that I have, the flag is missing, and the flag is actually right here. And a lot of people have asked about this flag. They asked, is it because I served in the military or something like that? Now, these flags are given out to people who've passed away but served in the military. And this flag belonged to my dad. Now, no sound for no sound for the right ear. Oh my God, I'm sorry guys. Hold on. Let me fix that. I think I got this. Actually the sound's in stereo, it's not in mono. Hold on a second. I think I got this. I think I can channels stereo. There we go. Mono. Oh my God, the program has to be restarted. Okay, hold on 1 second, guys. Hold on. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. All right. Your right ears should feel a whole lot better. Your ears should be better. The delay is something that I can't really do anything about. Again, that's an OBS/YouTube issue, as far as I'm aware. Not a whole lot I can do on that. So, anyway, hold on. Okay, cool. I just came back. All right, so now it's fine. Okay, cool. So your ears we do not discriminate here at Comics Explained. All right, we treat left and right ears equally. We do not favor one ear over the other, and therefore I have rectified this issue of discrimination. I apologize for those left ears that I may have, or those right ears that I may have discriminated against. It was not my intention. Please forgive me. Anyway, all right, so let me recharge I got my magic mouse, and the thing has to charge, otherwise it dies. Anyway, so this is the American flag, and it's given to people who pass away that served in the military. Now, when my dad served in the Navy. At his funeral, because we had a military funeral for him, which is usually where you get these from, they gave it to my stepmom, and it was kind of it was kind of weird. Hashtag left ears matter. It was kind of interesting because she gave it to me, and I didn't really know what to say. I was kind of left speechless because I felt like it was something that she should have had, but she was like, "Your dad would have wanted you to have this," and so. Every time every no matter where I've moved, because I've only moved once, to be honest. I moved here. I always keep it on display somewhere where it's easy to see for people who walk in and see it. But yeah, that's one of the most important things. I need to get a box. I need to get an actual case for it. So. But yeah, it was a line of military in my family. I'm the first one to break that tradition. My granddad was in the Air Force. My grandma was in the Air Force. That's how they met. They both fought in the Korean War. My dad was in the Navy. My uncle was in the Navy. I don't think we had anybody in our family that was in the Army or the Marines. I think it was all just Navy and Air Force. But anyway, yeah, so that's the story behind that. No, I did not serve in the military. My dad tried to get me to enlist. I had no desire to. But shortly after I graduated, actually when I was in high school, shortly after he and I had the talk about, he was like, you should really think about the military. It'll give you some discipline, stuff like that. 9/11 happened. The War on Terror happened, and I would have been shipped overseas. God only knows what would have happened. So anyway, so that's that whole thing. Show you guys the setup. You guys want to see the setup? Well, the setup's kind of a wreck right now. I mean, the camera cord is part of my cable management, so I can't just take the camera and show you guys. But if it's any consolation, I can describe it. I've got a big 96-inch desk here. It's a pretty huge desk. I bought it on IKEA, and I have a Mac Pro, like a 2012 Mac Pro. I thought about getting a 2013 Mac Pro, but that seemed kind of dumb. It didn't seem to make any sense. By the way, guys, you should be asking questions about comics. That's what this is for. Not just general, what are you vaping on? For those of you guys who are new here, Comics and Coffee is literally just your chance to ask me questions about comics, what I think, and Max is right over there. Max is laying down at the thing, but I appreciate the condolences about my dad, guys. I mean, it's been a year or so, so I mean I appreciate that. But what mic do I use? Well, I use a couple of different mics. Actually, that's a good question. Let's break out some microphones. Let's talk about microphones. Okay. So over the history of my channel, I have used a lot of different microphones. I guess this is just going to be a general Q&A. I guess it's not going to be like one particular thing. Whatever, that's fine. I have used several different microphones over the life of my channel. I've used the Blue Yeti, I think is what it is. I don't even really remember what it is anymore. Right now, I'm using the Sennheiser E835. This is the Shure SM7B. For those of you guys who watch The Mark of Jay, this is the microphone he uses. I am using I used to use the EV RE20, the Electro Voice RE20. This is the microphone that I use when I'm doing a history of the Marvel Universe, because this is your broadcasting standard high-end professional microphone. This was pricey. This was about $400, but it's the most expensive microphone that I ever bought. I bought it at the behest of a friend of mine who's a sound engineer, and he was like, you should get a super high-end microphone. Even if you only use it, only a handful of times, it makes all the difference. Like if I audition for voice work, like the voice audio that I'm going to do for for the Mass Effect Andromeda series will be done using this. So, do I read indie comics? Yes. I read Valiant and I read Image. Haven't really gotten into that much, I haven't really gotten to like Skybound or anything like that. I've heard that I should, which I probably should. So, yeah. East of West is hands down my, the man with 5,000 hands, the Mark of J. The East of West is currently my favorite out of Image with Jonathan Hickman. That's because I'm a Hickman fanboy. PS4 or Xbox. I actually have both, but currently the PS4 is hooked up right now. By the way, for those of you guys who were interested, I guess we'll probably do promotion at some point along the line, but there's a series that I have coming out relatively soon where I'm going to talk about the history of the console wars. It won't be on Comics Explained, but I'll keep you guys posted on where it'll be at. But it'll be the history of the console wars. So I have not read Britannia. No, I have not read Britannia yet. You auditioned for Mass Effect a while back? Badass. How did it go? I'm kind of curious. Okay, so for those of you guys who don't know, BioShock is hosting a contest, which it ends on the 28th, I think. But you basically download 2 scripts, and you read them both, and then you just send in the audio. I assume you upload it to YouTube, to like a YouTube file or something like that, or whatever it is, but you send it out. And, that's your audition for a non-playable character, I assume, in Mass Effect Andromeda. Have I ever considered partnering with an artist to create my own comic? I've thought about it a few times. I don't know. It was, to me, it'd be interesting. The hardest part to me would be writing the story. Like, if I were going to write a story, I'd want to write a story about an existing character, because the landscape's already there. Somebody just kind of remolding it and changing it up. Because I know it sounds weird, but I'm a lot more creative when I have something to work with. If you sit clay in front of me, I can mold that clay into something awesome. Not physically, I don't know the first thing about molding clay, but as an example, if you sit clay in front of me, I can mold it into something pretty awesome. Making the clay, I'm not so good at. So, what are your thoughts on Civil War II, issue number 5? I thought Civil War II, issue number 5 was pretty good. To me, it's the overall issue with Civil War. Civil War 1 was good, because it was lightning in a bottle, to be quite frank with you guys. Marvel caught lightning in a bottle with Civil War, and you can't duplicate it. They wouldn't be able to copy that again. I mean, there's no way that they could keep that going. Is that stream frozen for anybody else? I don't know. That's weird. Seems like it's frozen. Let's see. There we go. Cool. Um, yeah, I'm gonna watch the Doctor Strange movie. With Civil War II, it was weird to me because I felt like, um, you know, I felt like with Civil War II or with Civil War One, they caught lightning in a bottle. You could never duplicate that. It was the right story that came along at the right time. It was basically, freedom versus security in comic book form. It was the post 9/11 world argument in comic book form, and it made for some great storytelling because it was planned out, effectively. The issue with what you see right now in Marvel Comics is Civil War is it's even if the first Civil War was a cash grab, which it was made for the purpose of making money. This one, Civil War II, seems more of an act of desperation than it does a planned out story. And the result is that it doesn't have the same impact. It doesn't have the same effect. I feel like they were trying to do what they've already done, and it just doesn't have the same impact. Not to mention, an Inhuman that can see the future is the thinnest plot thread in the history of the world. So it's not very good. How funky fresh is Luke Cage? Funky fresh. Very funky fresh. Um, what is my opinion on the 2016 comic book movies released? Man, there's been some great movies. See, right now is a great time to be a comic book fan. And I was kind of thinking about this because I was going through the Marvel subreddit a few days ago, and I saw that there were people who were asking questions, legitimate questions, or they were asking fun questions, like what if Peter Parker had stayed married to Mary Jane Watson or something like that, and people were downvoting it. Now, there was only a small number of people who were downvoting it, and others would come back and upvote it. But I don't like the idea of people that kind of tear other people down for asking something that's for asking something interesting. That's a cool question. I like that kind of question, or simply asking things that are common knowledge to us but are not common knowledge to them. Our role right now, like at this moment right now, our role as comic book fans, as diligent comic book readers, is to literally help those who are not part of the comic book world but want to get into it, find a way to get into it. Like, our job is to kind of teach them, how to get into these things. And I feel like comic book movies really do a great job of that, even if they're not 100% true to the story. Captain America: Civil War was not 100% true to the story, but it was still a great movie. It's Demon in a Bottle, for example, the story arc Demon in a Bottle, where Tony Stark basically hit rock bottom with his alcoholism. That was the underlying theme of Iron Man 1, 2, and 3. But it wasn't true to the story because obviously Disney would not sanction a story where Tony Stark is an alcoholic, effectively. Like, it's just kind of blown out there in your face. Even Disney would kind of sanction that, despite the fact that they kind of leave Marvel to do their own thing. But Max, where you going, man? Max, where you going? See, there's Max, guys. You guys said you wanted to see Max. There's Max. But like Deadpool is a really good example. Deadpool's a pop culture icon. There are people that have never read a Deadpool comic in their life, but they love Deadpool because they love the idea of such a goofy and silly character. There are people that read his comics when they all come out, and they own them all. They own the Joe Kelly run, they own the Christopher Priest run, they own the short-lived, Rob Liefeld run. They own the Circle Chase by Mark Waid, I think it was. They own every comic that's ever been published by Deadpool. And they love his character. But the great thing is that Deadpool, the movie, showed casual comic book fans, or prospective comic book fans, that not all comic books are dark, and not all superheroes fight all the time. Sometimes they're just crazy people, and they don't make sense to anybody but themselves. And Deadpool's one of those guys. But it's Max, get my Coke. But yeah, it's interesting. The runs of comic book movies right now. Plus, there's the animated series. The animated section where you got the Killing Joke. The Killing Joke was great. I mean, I really loved it. I got a question for you guys. How many of you guys watched The Killing Joke? How many of you guys saw The Killing Joke? Max is God. That's a great way to alienate audiences. Honestly, Max is neither. Max is a Pokemon fan. He has a Pokemon Go hat. Yeah. I actually have not really read Injustice. Not the biggest fan of Injustice that ever existed. The intro caused me copyright problems on about 238 issues, or 238 videos. So I chose not to watch it. Chose not to use it. Okay. Those of you guys who have watched it. How many of you guys think that Batman killed the Joker at the end? Oh my God, so many replies. Who's the most powerful hero? Well, which one are we talking about? Are we talking about Marvel or are we talking about DC? Marvel, the most powerful hero is, it's a toss-up. Franklin Richards can warp reality, but he's not a multiversal threat. He's a universal threat. Of all the mutants, he is a, well, I mean, it's Killing Joke's been, it's been a story for 20 years, guys. You know, of all the mutants that have ever existed, Franklin Richards is the most powerful. Well, no, Matthew Malloy is the most powerful. They had to travel into the past to like keep him being born in order to defeat him. With non-mutants, that is to say, everybody that's ever existed, Molecule Man, Owen Reese, is the most powerful because he's a multiversal threat. His power extends into the multiverse. He can manipulate molecules. Anything that contains molecules, he can control. Whether it's space, whether it's planets, stars, the energies that make up the dimensional barriers. I mean, he can manipulate anything. He's literally he can control. He can do anything he wants to with anything. He's ahead of the living tribunal, and some even speculated that before he was retconned, he was as powerful as the One Above All. He was a wildly powerful character. Who's my favorite Inhuman? I guess Black Bolt. Honestly, I'm not wildly knowledgeable about the Inhumans. I know the basis behind their creation. I know their history. But in terms of the events that kind of been going on right now, with the exception of Charles Soule's Inhumanity, I never really, I guess Inhuman, I never really got into the Inhuman series. I'm curious, what do you guys think of Marvel replacing the X-Men with Inhumans? I'm kind of curious. I'd like to know what your all's thought is on that. Favorite DC Rebirth series of the moment? Superman Rebirth. I feel like it was needed. Superman Rebirth was a much needed story for Superman's character, and here's the reason why, guys. Here's why Superman needed some much needed attention. In the realm of DC Comics, Superman had struggled since like the 1950s. I mean, it was just his comics just weren't very popular because, one, there were so many changes in the sense that, when Mort Weisinger left, Julius Schwartz wanted to bring him more down to earth. He wanted to make him a more tame character. But Batman was becoming more popular. Batman was just a guy that ran around and beat up criminals, but he had gadgets. He was kind of dark. He was not really willing to go out and kill all the time, so much as he was willing to subdue the hell out of criminals using razor sharp batarangs. He was a more relatable character. And so, especially after the death of Superman, when they killed off Superman, people were like, "Oh my God, they killed off Superman! Like we're part of this massive comic book event. It's insane." And because they killed him off, his comic book sold like gangbusters. Well, the more people bought them, the less they were worth, and so that kind of led to the comic book bust of the 1990s. And when they brought him back, people were like, "No, I thought Superman was dead. Like I thought we were part of this huge, incredible event, like nothing we'd ever seen before. Why did you bring him back?" And they brought him back. And the result was that his sales tanked after that. People felt betrayed. They were like, "You know what, fine. Like if you're just going to kill characters and then bring them back on a whim, then of what relevance is it anymore?" And so they ended up abandoning Superman, and so his sales just never really recovered. Going into the New 52, people were expecting, the Superman that they remembered, forever. They expected the larger-than-life, the guy that always does the right thing, Superman, and instead they got the young, unexperienced, emotional Superman that people didn't like. And so his sales tanked, even further. They continued to just be bad. And, with Superman Rebirth, it's a great return to the Superman that we all know and love. It's like Superman Rebirth feels like what Superman, the New 52, should have been, to be honest. Now, I know that there are a lot of people out there that love the New 52 Superman, and I can see where you're coming from. But for me, it was always the old school. Shout out to Wes. Wes, what's up? No idea who Wes is. But, to me, the old school Superman is the Superman, But who's my favorite speedster? Wally West. Wally West had so much character development. Barry Allen is cool. Why are people asking for a shout out to Wes? I have no idea who that is. But Barry Allen's cool, but Wally West had some incredible development. How would I fix the X-Men today? Ooh, I've not played 2K17. Wesley Snipes. Max's Love, Max's Life. How would I fix the X-Men today? Damn, I don't know. That would take some thinking. Because they've literally scattered their comics to the winds. They've basically driven them into the ground. I don't know. That would take some thinking. Who's the most powerful Mexican supervillain? Massacre, the Mexican Deadpool. Shout out to West. How powerful is the Silver Surfer? Okay, so the Silver Surfer's powers, he's like a lot of comic book characters. Comic book characters, Galactus or Apocalypse or something like that, they have powers where their powers wax and wane based on what happens. What the writer wants to do. But if we take Silver Surfer at the peak of his power, so we take him in the 1990s, the absolute peak of his abilities, he is not as powerful as Galactus, but he's still relatively close. He's a far cry. Let me correct. He's a far cry from what Galactus is capable of, but he's still in the top, 10 most powerful beings in the universe, barring cosmic entities. He was able to time travel. He was able to manipulate the molecules of anything he touched, of anything he saw. He could give powers to people. He could take powers away. He could do a lot of different things. He was wildly powerful. Favorite Rebirth book? Yeah, Superman. Definitely Superman. Superman Rebirth. Having said that, I say Superman Rebirth because I really haven't had a chance to read Batman and The Dark Knight. Detective Comics or Flash. I'm actually going to be reading those today. And I'll let you guys know. I'll post on Twitter, let you guys know which one I dig the most. Let's see. Adidas or Nike? Nike. Who would pick Adidas over Nike? That's crazy talk. Well, there's nowhere else to go with Hickman's Fantastic Four. I mean, like I said, here's the deal, guys. With Hickman's Fantastic Four, it is a great story, and there is more to it than that. Like you find out later on that when the Council of Reeds was destroyed, that a lot of the Dooms that were lobotomized stayed there, and Doctor Doom went to the Council of Reeds location. And there's a really cool moment. He sits down in a chair and he's like, I can build here. And so all the lobotomized Dooms swear their allegiance to Doctor Doom, to the main Doctor Doom. Which, if I remember correctly, actually, God, we probably should have included that. Because if I remember correctly, I think he used that as a base of operations during Secret Wars. I don't remember if that's the case or not. But there's a conversation between Galactus and Franklin Richards, the adult Franklin Richards, where Galactus is like, I had no clue that your powers would get to this point where you could make me a herald, where you would be a universal construct. You would be as powerful as anybody could ever be. He was like, I didn't realize your powers would get to that place. And he was like, they mentioned something about a Galactus seed, which I don't know if you guys know what a Galactus seed is. I think I explained it in there. But he was like, he says, we will stand until the destruction of all things, until the universe collapses, which is what happened. During the multiverse, they were the last two remaining individuals. They were the last two beings alive. And that was kind of it. Like the adult Franklin Richards did exist during Secret Wars. There was, Hickman tied into him. He was there, and both him and Galactus were the last two surviving beings that made it out alive, or didn't really make it out alive. But please explain Godspeed. Well, as far as I know, have they finished that Godspeed story arc yet? Because I don't know if they just finished it or not, but I guess I should. Do Flash Godspeed? Let's see. Ben Affleck or Christian Bale? How strong would Worldbreaker Hulk be if he had a lantern ring? Oh God, he'd be, I don't know. I mean, he was strong enough to lay waste to virtually everybody on Earth. I do not know exactly how strong he would be with a lantern ring. I mean, you got to think. I mean, if he was able to create constructs, But see, here's the difference though. The lantern rings are contingent on the imagination of its wielder. The Incredible Hulk is not wildly intelligent. Now, if we were talking about Professor Hulk, I think it was, where he had the brain of Bruce Banner, but he had the strength of the Hulk, well, then he'd be wildly powerful. He'd be a universal threat. But if you're just talking about Worldbreaker Hulk, if he had a lantern ring, he'd be able to create simple constructs, but he wouldn't be wildly as powerful. Yeah, I guess now if he had rage, if he allowed the rage to consume him in its entirety, and he just basically turned into a mindless beast with the power of the Red Lantern ring, then he'd be a universal threat of the highest order, because there's no telling what he would create with his what kind of constructs he would like. There'd be no telling. He'd be operating with a primitive mindset, but capable of using the Red Lantern ring, but also have strength that's limited only by his rage. And so literally the angrier he gets, the stronger he gets. So one, he'd be stronger than virtually anybody in the universe if they pushed him, if they made him angry. Well, yeah, because the Red Lantern ring of rage would heighten his rage. So that would make him, yeah, he'd be probably the physically strongest being in existence, able to take on probably cosmic entities in a physical form. Characters like Galactus and guys like that could still just phase him out of existence. They would just be like gone. But barring that we don't keeping out cosmic entities that can just wipe him out of existence, he would probably kill the entirety of the Marvel Universe, to be honest with you guys. Do I think Sentry should come back to all new, all different Marvel? No, I don't think so. I think Sentry was a great concept for what he was at the time. The Sentry, see, my issue, I love the Sentry's original series by Paul Jenkins and Jay Lee. But the Sentry never should have been used beyond that. The Sentry should have just stayed, and that should have been the limit of it. It was Marvel Knights. That should have been the extent of it. Because the way that Paul Jenkins ended the story, he went back to his normal life, and the world went back to forgetting about him. They actually had to kind of force him into the main Marvel universe when Joe Quesada brought everything over. Yeah, I know the audio is off, guy. There's a delay between OBS and YouTube. Not a whole lot I can do about it, but. Let's see. It would have been better, if he had just kind of stayed, with the Marvel Knights series. So, let's see. Do I prefer Marvel or DC? Well, if this was 6 or 7 months ago, I would have said Marvel. But DC Rebirth is getting me more into DC, and so I definitely love. I'm not the biggest fan of what they're doing with all new, all different Marvel. I can kind of see where they're going with it, but I'm definitely digging DC because of DC Rebirth now. So, the most underrated hero. Most underrated hero. Damn. I don't know. See, with DC, you can't really do underrated heroes because they do character story arcs, and so they spend all the time in the world fleshing out their characters. They don't really do like huge crossover events, and if they do it, it's not an insane thing. You usually find underrated heroes in Marvel Comics. I wouldn't say he's a hero because he's a bad guy, but I'd say the most underrated character in Marvel Comics is probably Graviton. Graviton, is that his name? Gravitron? Whatever it is. Graviton, I think is his name. The guy that controls gravity. I'd say he's probably the most underrated character because of how powerful he is, being able to control gravity. Like, he's pretty badass. What days am I going to be at New York Comic Con? We're going to be there from the 5th through the 9th, I think. But if you guys follow us on Twitter, follow me at follow me at Comics Explained. Follow Benny at Comic Storian, Sal at Comic Pop, or Sal Says What, Joel at Cape Joel. We'll post online. We'll tweet out, when our stuff is going to be, and you guys will be able to meet us. So, Graviton, okay, cool. I can never remember. I always keep confusing it between Gravitron and Graviton. So, anyway, let's see. What do you think the Joker is? I promise I won't set you in a circle to answer this. No, it's fine. Here's my question. they haven't explained the Three Jokers story, have they? Because I know that in DC Rebirth or Batman Rebirth, I think they stated that the whole Three Jokers thing is still in existence, but they haven't actually explored that. I don't know, to be honest. I mean, I think they're picking the three most popular Jokers in the history of Batman's continuity, and they're just kind of rolling with those. Three different Jokers from three different timelines. I think it. I think it's going to tie into the whole 10 Years Gone event. I think it's going to tie into Dr. Manhattan, maybe a few other things. I don't know, but yeah, I don't know. Honestly, I prefer the notion that the Joker is just a crazy guy. Like I prefer that. I prefer that idea. The whole idea of drinking from that liquid, that weird, stuff that was below Gotham, and having been alive for 200 years. That's an interesting concept. I like that Scott Snyder was kind of creating it as like an eternal battle between good versus evil. But I prefer the Joker just being a guy that just had a really bad day and just became a crazy person, Yeah, so do I think Marvel will be doing a reboot? Honestly, I don't think so. I think Marvel's too stubborn to do a reboot, to be honest with you guys. Dionysian, there we go. Dionysian, yes. Dionysian. Have I seen Robbie Reyes Ghost Rider in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.? Do I like it? Yes. I thought Robbie Reyes was done extremely well in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Here's the reason why. One of the biggest concern I had is that the budget for Robbie Reyes, for the Ghost Rider concept, the flaming skull, fire and all that kind of stuff, it wasn't going to be very high. Because at the end of the day, one thing you guys got to keep in mind is Disney's not throwing a ton of money behind the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. TV show. It's there, and it's something that exists, but they're not throwing a ton of money behind it, which makes sense. I mean, but my fear was they were going to blow the entirety of their budget on his skull being on fire, and the rest of the story was going to suffer. We saw a flaming skull from him twice. The first time was kind of, a little bit like, when you first see it, all you see is kind of a silhouette in the background, but you could easily make it fit into everything else. The other half, people tell me my voice is amazing all the time. I appreciate it. The other half is, the other time was we saw his flaming skull up close. And the fact that we only saw it a couple times, but they focused on the mythology behind him is a cool thing, because what's really interesting is they painted him as like a Punisher-esque character. In Daredevil Season 2, the Punisher was like this guy who was just laying waste to the gangs of Hell's Kitchen. There's like my favorite scene, where Matt Murdock asked the one guy, he pulls him off the meat hook, and he's like, who did this? Like, who did this to you? Where are they? And the guy's like, no, one man. It was just one man. And I was like, oh my God, that's so cool. Then it switches to the scene where he's walking through the hospital, chasing down that one guy. At the same time, there was the whole idea of, with Ghost Rider, he's in this neighborhood, and it's like, they say that when the rider comes for you, there's no escape. And I love that, because it's like it tells you there's like this undercurrent, there's this nameless fear in the Marvel universe, ranging from the Punisher to Ghost Rider, and this whole idea of S.H.I.E.L.D. and, Captain America and Iron Man, that's the very top. But at the very bottom, there are some serious things going on. And I really dug Robbie Reyes. It's a huge answer to the question that you asked, but yeah, it was pretty awesome. Let's see. Did you read Watchmen, and what are your thoughts? Yeah, I read Watchmen. It's an interesting story. I agree with Ozymandias, but yeah. Let's see. Who's your favorite Green Lantern? Mine is Jon Stewart. Or yours is Jon Stewart. My favorite Green Lantern is Hal Jordan. I got to go with the classic. I got to go with Hal Jordan. I know there's a lot of people that love Kyle Rayner, but I'm a stickler for tradition, and comics. And I loved the rise and fall of Hal Jordan. I loved how he became Parallax, and then he was that weird stint where he was the Spectre. I'm not really sure I feel that, but I like that he's just kind of he's like the one guy when it all goes to pot, when it all comes crashing down, when everything is coming to an end, Hal Jordan is always the one guy left who's like, we got to do this, guys, and he rallies everybody else. I love Hal Jordan for that. He's a great character. Let's see. Who do I think Dr. Oz is? I think he's Ozymandias from the Watchmen. To be honest with you guys, how many of you guys think that Dr. Oz is Ozymandias? Is Superman immortal? In terms of longevity, yes. In terms of his powers, yes. Can he be killed? Yes. So it's kind of a quagmire. I guess I wouldn't say he's immortal so much as he's extremely long lived. But I don't know. It depends. I mean, do you take the Superman Prime route? Like, do you believe that in a million years that he'll be in the sun? Do you believe that he'll have gotten that powerful? I have no idea. But am I excited about the Doctor Strange movie? Absolutely. You think he's Lex Luthor? That would be a damn good plot turn. If it turned out that Dr. Oz was actually Lex Luthor, that would be interesting. I would dig that. Yeah, Luke Cage in 5 days, guys. Luke Cage in 5 days. I'm so excited about the Luke Cage. Well, no, Luke Cage is on the 30th, I think, so it comes out in like 7 days, I believe. What is today? I don't have my phone in front of me. I'm very hyped for Luke Cage. I can't wait to watch it. Definitely Picard, any day of the week. You think he's the pre-New 52 Lex Luthor? That would be cool. Let's see. Would the penance stare work on Darkseid or Lex Luthor? Ooh, that'd be interesting. I don't know. That's an interesting question. Would the penance stare work? I don't think it'd work on Darkseid. I think Darkseid would be able to counter it, using his Omega Sanction or something like that. Lex Luthor, yes, I think so. Because Lex Luthor, aside from his intelligence, has no powers. And so I think it would work on him. The question being, though... Okay, I'm sorry, I take that back. Ghost Rider would be able to successfully force Lex Luthor to look at him. Would Lex Luthor actually feel bad? Like, would he feel pain? Maybe. I don't know. I have no idea. Because I don't know if he's just, I don't know. I mean, does he feel remorse for the things that he does? Like, would he feel bad? I have no idea. Favorite superhero TV series? The Flash. That was never in question. The Flash is hands down the best comic book TV series going right now. Right now, it is the best comic book TV series. Nothing comes close to The Flash. It's incredible. I am not Batman. I have been watching Dragon Ball Super. Okay, those of you guys who have been watching Dragon Ball Super, I think Goku Black is... Well, no, I guess they already established it. That Zaitama, whatever his name is, just wished for an evil version of Goku. But yeah, Punisher possibly on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Okay, I read that article. All that article says is Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is getting darker. The Punisher's dark. I guess it makes sense he'd be on there. Like that's all that article says. And so it's 100% speculation with not a single iota of evidence to verify. It's a cool concept, but I was going into the article expecting, some Zamasu, that's what it is. I was expecting some, information or something like that. Super Saiyan Rose. What's going on, y'all? Welcome to Rob's Super Saiyan Emporium. We got all kinds of Super Saiyan colors. We got Super Saiyan Turquoise. We got Super Saiyan Red lipsticks. We got Super Saiyan Rose. We got all the Super Saiyan colors you could possibly need. We even got Super Saiyan mix and match colors. Make your own color. They're just swinging for the fences with these Super Saiyan colors now. Oh man, but let's see. What do you think of clones? Like, what do you mean clones? As in like the Clone Saga? Not really sure what you mean. What Hickman story would fit best with the MCU? Definitely Fantastic Four. Or S.H.I.E.L.D. But S.H.I.E.L.D.'s still not finished. Oh, man. Let's see. Man, questions are pouring in now. It's crazy. Punisher versus Batman. That story actually exists. Let's see. Batman Year One Netflix series. Oh, yes. I would read the hell out of that. Batman Year One. Netflix? Yes, definitely. Um, let's see. Super Saiyan Rasta. The Clone Conspiracy, I think, is just a repeat of the Clone Saga. I think that's all that is. Yeah, for example, like, for those of you guys, here's one of the issues. Like, for those of you guys who are going through all new, all different Marvel, they're starting Enemy of the State with X-23's Wolverine. I guess all new, all different Wolverine. Enemy of the State was a story that already existed, and it was when Wolverine was kidnapped and brainwashed by the Hand and Hydra, and started just attacking all the superheroes of the world. Now there is a story, there's a what if story, which I actually covered, Wolverine Kills the Marvel Universe, where the brainwashing never wears off, and the result is that he actually goes through and kills everybody from the superhero community. He kills Captain America, the whole 9 yards. He kills them all. So, let's see. That's awesome. Who won in Punisher versus Batman? I don't remember. um, let's see. God, there's so many questions rolling in. It's hard to keep track of them all. Adam Warlock MCU, your thoughts on it? It definitely makes sense to me. He'd be, I don't know if they're going to have him in here, though. Like, maybe he'll appear in Infinity War. I'm not sure. We saw his cocoon, and his cocoon broke open, but we have no idea what they ever did with him. Superman versus Dr. Manhattan, that's going to make for a badass battle, and I really want to see that because it's pre-New 52 Superman. It's not the New 52 Superman. Pre-New 52 Superman is a lot stronger than the New 52 version. And so, so I definitely, God, I dig that. Personally, I still think Dr. Manhattan takes it, but, you know, it depends on what kind of powers they give him. It depends on what abilities he may or may not have. Honestly, I'd like to see Superman win, but no, it's fine if all their questions roll in. I just kind of catch the ones. This is one of the things I learned when I first started Comics and Coffee, is you're not going to be able to answer every question because they all roll in so fast. You just kind of catch the ones you can and go with it from there. So, yes, I'm on a Mac right now. Let's see. What's my favorite childhood TV show? David the Gnome, hands down. Like, I love David the Gnome. My favorite video game? Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic 1. That was a great game. Right after that, I guess, the Super Mario World. So, any expectations on the Legion TV show? Well, as far, if what the rumor mill is turning out is to be believed, he will be, it'll be part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Don't know if that's true or not, and we won't know until the series comes out. Or until it just gets tied in somehow. They've already referenced him being the most powerful mutant they've ever encountered. So they're already talking about how insanely powerful he is. So they're obviously going to go with the route of all the different personalities of Legion, each one having a different power. Honestly, it depends on what they write. The framework's already there. I mean, the framework to make a great Legion TV show is there. They have all the material that they need. It just comes down to, can Fox or can FX actually write something good out of it? That said, FX has rarely been bad about their own individual shows, their own particular shows. They're actually, pretty solid. Like, they're pretty good. So, let's see. Am I excited for Dr. Octopus returning in comics? I guess. Honestly, I liked him as Spider-Man. I preferred Superior Spider-Man. How many of you guys liked Superior Spider-Man? I loved it. Like, I liked him in Peter Parker's body. Granted, it's not a long-term story arc. You can't keep it forever, but I think he's better when he's trying to redeem himself, to be quite frank, because it adds a whole new dynamic to him. So, let's see, favorite coffee brand? Hashtag selling out. Definitely Folgers. Folgers is my favorite coffee brand. So, the strain is amazing. Yeah. Favorite Rebirth title? So far, it's Superman, but I'm getting ready to start on Batman and The Flash. So, favorite Scott Snyder story? Court of Owls, just because it was a creation of a whole new character, or a whole new villain, and I loved the Court of Owls story. I loved the idea that Batman had been operating in Gotham and didn't know the Court of Owls was there. He suspected it, but gave up on it earlier and believed it was a myth. But they were able to operate without Batman ever truly knowing they were alive. That I think was one of the coolest parts of Snyder's writing. So, Bendis needs Bendis doesn't need that. Let's see. Where can you buy my book? Actually, here, let me post the link to it. Which I probably should have done like a shout at the beginning of the thing, but you know, I've already got a video dedicated that went out yesterday. I don't want to bombard you guys with too many posts because then people will just stop caring. Let's see. You guys can buy my book. For those of you guys who don't know about my book, I wrote a book on the entire history of Superman. So you can buy it there. Then I'll also post it here down in the comment, down in the description. Right now, I think it's on sale for like $11 or something along those lines. So I think, I don't remember. I believe. Yeah, so it's $11, you know. So if you guys refresh your live streams, if you refresh your video, you guys will see the link to my book down in the description. So you guys should all refresh, and you guys should all click on the link to that book. So, let's see. What do you think of the future of Trunks? Ooh. The future of Trunks is interesting. I'm glad they brought it back, to be honest. Like, I'm glad they reintroduced it. Let's see. Yes, you can buy it on Amazon. God, so many questions. Do I think they'll have the Death of Spider-Man story in the Marvel Cinematic Universe? I don't know. I kind of hope so, to be honest. I think they'll do that eventually, and they'll bring in Miles Morales. Because if they're gonna have Spider-Man, of course you got to start with Peter Parker. You can't not start with Peter Parker. You got to go with him first, and then just fold it over into, the death of, or I guess then roll in Miles Morales. But, let's see. I don't watch Rick and Morty. Let's see. God, so many. See, now there's like 570 people here, so there's so many people watching right now. So many questions rolling in. I'm trying to find a DC question. Superman versus action and Rebirth. Okay, so that's the kicker. So here was something that I apparently I had misgivings about this. My apartment's like 1,400 square feet. I apparently had misunderstood this whole thing. So, it used to be at one point that Superman and Action Comics both told the same story, but they told the story from two different perspectives. Apparently what they're doing in DC Rebirth is they're both telling two different stories. Like Action Comics is one story, Superman is another story, which I didn't realize that. And so I was, because I had kind of assumed that it was just going to be tie-ins to the existing Superman story arc of Son of Superman. But now, apparently it's not. And so now I've got to go through and read Action Comics too. So, so I have not read Action Comics yet, but I need to. Let's see. The purpose of the book covers the whole history of Superman, from the time he was created up until the New 52. So, thoughts on the upcoming TV show by Hulu, Runaways? I'm never a big fan of Runaways, to be honest, guys. I could never get into Runaways. So. Any opinion on Titans Rebirth? I've not read Titans Rebirth yet. For right now, I'm just kind of sticking to the big three. I'm sticking to Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman. By the way, Trinity is amazing. For those of you guys who have not read Trinity yet, that is an amazing book. It's a beautifully done book. I absolutely love it. But how can you get my book autographed? Come out to New York Comic Con, and you'll definitely get it autographed. If you're not going to be at New York Comic Con, what I might do is I might set up a PO box where you can send your book in, and then I'll autograph it and send it back to you guys. Let's see. Batman versus the. Okay, I missed that. Let's see. Tiffany versus Benny. I want to see that. Personally, I think Tiffany wins. I think Tiffany would take it. What's going on, JJ Gamer Show? Titans is really good. Okay, I'll have to check that out then. Will I be at Comic-Con on Thursday? Yeah, I think so. I think we have stuff planned out on what it is that we're going to do. So we'll send a bunch of stuff out if we can. Let you guys know where we're going to be at, and we'll keep you guys posted on Twitter. So, top 3 artist writer combos. Jonathan Hickman, Assad Ribic, J. Michael Straczynski, Assad Ribic, and Mark Waid, Alex Ross. Definitely. My apartment's pretty big. It's pretty nice. My vape is pretty good. Oh my God, questions are just flooding in. Are there any superheroes that everyone loves but I don't? Spider-Man. Not the biggest fan of Spider-Man, but people love him. So, let's see. Why is Benny such addicted to... Oh, no. Okay, one of the things you guys got to keep in mind is that when it comes to the weekly poll, like we've got our own little brand things that kind of, create some... They create our own little thing. Joel is... the Benny and Joel thing is their own thing. We've already hit up Joel, like definitely off the podcast, and we were like, hey man, just to make sure, like are you all right? And he's like, yeah, dude, it's fine. It's part of the whole thing. Don't worry. Like if it becomes an issue, then don't worry, guys. It's not a huge thing. Let's see. Why do I not like Spider-Man? Because to me, Spider-Man doesn't really offer much. I mean, his stories aren't really that interesting to me. Aside from his spider sense, he's got no real spectacular abilities. I just don't really care for him too much. He's just not really. It's not really up my alley. Let's see. But I like cosmic level characters. Like I like characters that are super capable. So, Spider-Man was cool in Civil War. I'll give him that. He was pretty cool in Civil War. Is there anything else as good as Jonathan Hickman's Jonathan Hickman's Fantastic Four? There are a handful of stories from both Marvel and DC that are as good as Hickman's Fantastic Four. Well, no, for Marvel, I don't know. Like Kingdom Come is a really good story that I would easily put on par with Hickman's Fantastic Four. Hickman's Avengers, New Avengers. Okay, for those of you guys who are avid DC readers, what DC stories would you say are as good as Jonathan Hickman's Fantastic Four? I have not played Final Fantasy 15. I don't even know if it's out yet. Ultimates? I would say Batman's the greatest detective because he's got the mind and the money. Favorite non-Marvel or non-DC character? Probably Toyo Harada from Valiant Comics because he's so identifiable. Flashpoint, Dark Knight, Watchmen, Nightfall, The Killing Joke, Luke Cage. Oh no, so that's different. Let's just say characters. Somebody said Luke Cage. Tower of Babel was really good. I never read Identity Crisis. I know what it's about. Blackest Night. Yeah, Jeff Johns' entire run of Green Lantern, I would say. Let's see. I could never get into Raven. I read Raven #1 for DC Rebirth. I really couldn't get into it, to be honest. Lucifer Morningstar. Faust went off to do his own modeling gig. He's taken off to do his own thing. Grant Morrison's Batman run, Invincible. Harbinger War. Oh, Harbinger Wars was really good. I really dug Harbinger Wars. All Star Superman is super good. It's, I did not intend for a pun to be there. Anyway, guys, all right. Well, we're hitting at about the hour mark, so we're gonna go ahead. I'm gonna go ahead and bounce off here. Again, this is a once a month thing, so this is really we'll be back, I guess, at the end of October, near the end of October, and yeah. So thanks for coming out, guys. Definitely make sure you guys check out the description, for the book for Superman. And yeah, so I guess I'm going to go ahead and bounce off here. And I will see you guys in a month. Peace.